VenomousStare back with another 2v2 cast. This time we have double Zerg versus double Terran. The Zergs are up here in red in the top right. We have Goose and Blue Moon. Our Terrans are Savage Wood, that's me in the bottom left, and my random ally, Dr. Roxo. So in 2v2 on this map, this is one of the newest maps in the pool, and the natural ramp, sort of, I mean it's not a real ramp, it's one of those Tal'Darim altar flat ramps, and this of course makes it worse for defending. Obviously you have your main ramp that sort of leads out into the rest of the map, but this big area is where you're going to want to build stuff if you're a Terran player and you're looking to set up defense, because a lot of times what you'll see happen as Savagewood is going for a fast expansion is players will play super defensive and they will only sort of protect themselves, but that basically just allows the enemy team to isolate your ally, and you don't want that to happen. Whenever you play 2v2 and you don't have a shared base where you and your ally are on the same plateau, you want to set up the defense at a neutral location that benefits both of you. This can be a little tricky, especially with random allies. If you go into a game with a pre-made ally, you can come up with a plan to say, okay, we're going to mutually wall this off together early and become impervious to cheese. But that's almost impossible to do with an ally. Oftentimes I can't even get allies to follow like a basic structure of strategy, like, hey, we're on Shrines of Linzul, let's cheese. Nope. They don't do anything, they just ignore me. So to say that you should wall off the natural ramp together is true, but it's easier said than done. Savagewood here is getting double orbital. He has a Rax out as well as 2 bases. He's getting a second barracks, so it's going to be bio. Quick factory here for Dr. Roxo. He's also making Marines. The Zerg players are macroing a little bit. One of them, for whatever reason, is building a lot of spines. Now, this is really perplexing, as there's really no cheese that you would need this many spines to defend. That, you know, this, what I'm saying is if you're going to make 3 spines, I mean, what are you going to defend? Like, if they go double proxy racks, like, okay, great, they're just going to attack your ally. So this is sort of useless unless you go first tumor and then try to get the spines down to the natural. But Blue Moon here is actually going to go for a bit of Ling aggression, and Savagewood does not have anything in this bunker quite yet. And this is a big problem when you do with these massive open natural ramps, is players can just sort of run in even if you do have stuff at your front door. Savagewood's reactor just finished, he's getting those Marines popping, and unfortunately the Terran players here are in a little bit of trouble. It looks like the Zerg's going to do some damage. Savagewood is trying to run away, but at the end of the day he's going to take some damage here at his natural. He's going to lose a few workers, and tragically the mules are going to have to stop mining and he's going to have to lift. So this is actually a huge pain in the ass. And if Blue Moon was worth a shit, he wouldn't be supply blocked and he would be flooding drones behind this to incur an advantage. Dr. Roxo is going for a fusion core, so it looks like it's going to be relatively fast BC. And as Blue Moon tries to focus the bunkers, Savagewood brings a couple more Marines up, as well as a couple SCVs, and then pings the bunker and says, hey, I made this bunker, move your tank down, buddy, and Dr. Roxo obliges. Battlecruiser has not been started yet. Of course, the fusion core isn't done, the gas saturation is a bit scuffed, and the natural was delayed. Some Lings out here for Goose. And it's actually, in my opinion, a mistake to make these many spines early, because it does actually put you pretty far behind. I mean, if you think about it, if a spine's 150 and the drone is 50 with larva, this is like a 600 mineral investment. And what is this really going to defend against that just making Lings wouldn't? It's just sort of ineffective. But like I said, if he was going to go for super fast creep, get creep pushed down to here and have 3 spines at the front door, that would be actually not bad. Savagewood doing a bit of a trick here, leaving the depot down, seeing how many lings there were, knowing they couldn't kill the tank, and then as soon as the lings get in, he raises the depot, and the Terran players don't lose anything. Savagewood has about a dozen Marines at this point, between the bunker and the ones just out here. Nydus is going to be the choice for Goose. And he doesn't have a lot behind this, as we can see. He is only on 2 gas, not a lot of drones. And he's going for an Overseer here. Obviously, whenever you go for Nydus, you morph the Overseer. A lot of times people will even get Overlord speed, and then you can kind of run around with the Nydus and use changelings. Looks like it's going to be double Nydus play, as Blue Moon is getting a Nydus as well, but he is on more of a robust economy and he's going to focus on Hydras. So after the Nydus is called out, Savagewood makes a depot on the corner of his base to try to get vision. Nydus has become incredibly popular and it is absurdly irritating to deal with, and even as a Zerg player it's not particularly fun to use or skillful to use. Savagewood is getting a reactor on his starport, and one of the first things you want to do when you see Nydus is make a Viking. Because of this, you see that the doctors, Nydus was completely shut down here, and when I say the doctor I mean Goose. And the changeling goes down, so the first Nydus has been successfully defended. So whenever you scout Nydus, after you get the Viking, you gotta move that bad boy around. They're almost always going to be sitting outside your main somewhere, and oftentimes they're going to keep trying if the initial Nydus fails. So the way that you deal with that is pretty damn simple. You just keep the Viking moving around, maybe even on patrol, and just always try to limit the vision. Because Zerg has to have Nydus to get in, and they're really never going to go for a Nydus play and then just like make the Nydus out here, because between the Nydus build time and whatnot, in a lot of cases you're better off just running your units across the map in a normal timing attack. We can see here that Dr. Roxo does have a nice little Viking on patrol, and this is a random ally. I don't know this guy, I'm not friends with him. He's also getting a couple more starports, trying to take a third and going into BC. Now if he isn't harassing with this BC, he should be sort of running it around. Of course, he does have 2 Vikings on patrol, so you gotta love that. This guy obviously has lost to Nydus a few times and has sort of figured out the correct way to play against it. Some more CCs being added on for Savagewood, and another Overseer is sneaking in from Goose. And the first Nydus does go down. And if we go to T for structures, both of the Zerg players looking like they're going for sort of Roach Hydra type comps, and the Zerg player is just going to continuously keep popping up Nyduses, no matter how many it costs. He's just going to keep making the Nydus. He is really committed to this play and really wants to get these off. We can see he just keeps making more and more, and the Overseer, of course, is more fast than the Viking once you get Overlord speed. Blue Moon is making a Nydus in the main of the Terran player, Dr. Roxo. Of course, these are Goose's units. Savagewood is defending along with the BC help. Nice hot pickup on the tank as he loses virtually nothing. So let me pause for a brief second. Dr. Roxo lags out of the game. The lag screen that comes up, of course, that has his name in the 60-second countdown. And I type in lag, like right when the lag starts, and the lag screen comes up. Dr. Roxo disconnects, and then right after he disconnects, Blue Moon says GG. He knows that with 2 Nyduses from 2 Zerg players constantly being abused, as well as Hive Tech already up, the chance of me being able to defend all this bullshit 2v1 is exceptionally slim. It's also worth noting that Goose has another base out here, and Blue Moon has a base out here, so the Zerg players are doing pretty well for themselves. Now what has Dr. Roxo left Savagewood? 4 starports to try to go BC with. Now, one difficult thing about playing 2v1 is you don't have a supply indicator for your ally, so it's sort of hard to macro. eBay going down here, and remember, as Savage Wood, I'm controlling both of these. So this is essentially, I'm essentially playing with two armies here, and one of them I don't even have the things I need to see. More Nydus spam, Goose trying one in the natural, Blue Moon trying one, as some shitty micro going down here as these should have been siege, but obviously multitask is being pushed pretty heavily 2v1. And Savagewood is doing his best to try to defend this Nydus. It is pretty damn low. And one of the things that you always want to do versus Nydus is kill it before you kill the units so the Zerg can't retreat. The Nydus was buffed over and over and gained a lot of popularity. And in the last patch it did get nerfed just a little, but it is still very strong. The units still unload and load out of it exceptionally quickly. And a few BCs are being tallied across the map to try to do some harassment. Now whenever you see your opponent go for a pretty Hydra heavy army, moves like this can be dangerous. It is worth noting that you really never want to have idle BCs because they have the teleport ability and there's really no reason why they shouldn't always be harassing. Now I'm not saying telly them in like that as soon as they finish, but you don't want to be in a position where you're just sitting on BCs. Now obviously a 2v1 it can be sort of hard to harass, but I see a lot of players as Savagewood tries to save this PF with some of Dr. Roxo's old Vikings, and he narrowly does, and his multitasking once again is being tasked very heavily as Blue Moon is pushing across the map with the ground mix. He has 1-1, Savagewood has 1-1 as well. One of the most important things about fighting off these heavy roach compositions with Marines is upgrades. Upgrades and medevacs. A lot of the times people think, oh, it's splash damage. Well, Savage was going for liberators, not tanks. And a lot of times what it comes down to then is upgrades and your medevac count. So some more extended harass going down as a weak battle cruiser gets tellied out as Hydras are being pressured down. And Savagewood, it looks like he's going to try to make BCs out of what Dr. Roxo left him and try to go for a little bit of Bio-Liberator from himself. Now my advice to you, if your ally lags out as the Nydus Worm goes down, Savagewood is sort of searching around trying to find it. But if your ally disconnects, one of the best things you can do is just be liberal with your depot building and then sort of go for easy to micro one note compositions like mass BC or just make a bunch of tanks or make a bunch of Marines. You don't want to be in a position where you're having to do upgrades and a bunch like factory, barracks, and starport production. It makes it way more difficult to do because already you have two people able to task you at once as Marines come down here. Thankfully Savagewood has 2-2 and Goose is at a severe upgrade disadvantage. Now that comes down a lot to the fact that Goose cut drones early to rush out a quick Nydus and sort of went not necessarily for an all-in, but a very aggressive build. And we can see that Blue Moon was trying to attack the third base of Savagewood as his fourth was being pressured. And this roach is on patrol. It's preventing this base from being re-landed. Blue Moon has taken this corner base. Goose is alive and kicking over here. He's electing to take this base as well. Both players going for +1 air attacks. And Savagewood has opened up the middle of the map. He's getting lib range as well as 3-3 and defensive upgrades on his armory. And it looks like he's just trying to get everything in order, get all the battle cruisers and all of his liberators and marines sort of in one little tight army so he can do a big push. Blue Moon is trying to make some lurkers here, but ranged liberators absolutely devastate lurkers. So intelligently, Savagewood is going to set up a bit of a no-go zone here The Liberators could have been spread out way better, but it doesn't really matter. Savagewood kills the base, re-sieges them. Now Blue Moon does have a ton of Corruptors here because he was expecting to deal with BCs, and 3/3 Marines aren't there yet, but Savagewood does have 2/2. And he sees a few Lurker Spines, runs away. Lots of Banelings coming out here, as after going Roach Hydra all game, he does not have Bane speed. Liberator's just eviscerating the Zerg army. Savagewood splits a little, and after his opponent's offensive GG'd him, after his ally disconnected, Savagewood's going to take the 2-1. 2v1 rather, easy victory. So a nice job there to continuously defend the Nydus harass, constantly re-expand, and use the Vikings of his fallen brother to try to clinch a victory. If you enjoyed that, make sure you subscribe and comment for more.